overlooking a cattail swamp this morning. I haven't seen anything. I didn't really get out for the opener. My buddy did, Calvin though, and actually shot a stud. So he called me up to go help him recover it.
All right, now I'm nervous. I hope I have to rearrange all of this in a few minutes again. So we'll go to shot location and then, to that nocturnal. So I don't think I've ever cell phone videoed a buck before I shot it. This deer was in front of me for an hour and he was hanging out at 75 yards. I grabbed my cell phone and videoed him just rake a tree. He was standing, I think he was standing about right here. Oh, there's the lighted knock right there. That looks like what, about 9-10 inches. High hits don't lend themselves to, like, if a deer's running, to churning out a lot of blood either. He's right here, dude. 10 yards, 5 yards. See him? Dude, he is a giant. Yeah, he's stiff, dude. Dude.
Dude, that's freaking good.
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude,
look at that. Oh. I don't know what to say. I'm thankful to God for giving me this opportunity. October 1, Michigan. It was 80 degrees today. So probably the worst, and still just probably the worst conditions. And the weirdest hunt. I mean, who goes up their tree and then has this buck bedded behind them for 40 or an hour, and then all of a sudden this deer sneezes, keeps sneezing until I finally see that it's a buck, and then identified as this guy who I don't have a picture of for the last 5 weeks. I maybe have 10, 15 pictures of this deer in total over the course of the summer, and nothing hard-horned. The saying, don't hunt the cameras, applies to this deer, because this deer was killed 30 yards from a camera.
I was doing my devotions in James the other day, and I was reading these verses. He says, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. But let him ask in faith, with no doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. I've given guys spots on my maps and said, hey, this is a really good area, go check this out, but it was public land. And there's a lot of guys that have hunted private land for years and they don't have any faith in public land. They have certain ideas conjured up about public land, that all public land just has hunters everywhere. You got guys that only hunt flat land and they're not comfortable hunting hills, guys that won't hunt a spot unless they're getting a trail cam picture of a buck. But it's not even just faith, because there's a lot of people, I feel like, in this world that say, I have faith, I'm a Christian, I believe in God, but there's a lot of fake faith, because true faith produces results. True faith is acted upon. In James 2:14 he says, so what good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking daily food, and one of you says to him, go in peace, be warmed and be filled, without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? So also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. So he's using the example of someone that's needy, and if you go up to them and you say, oh, I'm so sorry for your situation, I pray that you'll go and that you'll be warm and that you'll have food, and then you walk away, that's empty. There's nothing to that. The same applies to us bow hunters. We can believe that this spot's really good, but until we go, we hunt it. Sometimes it takes acting upon whatever faith that you have in your setup or your spot, and acting upon it to truly ingrain something into your head. Sometimes we have faith because we see somebody else's results. There's a lot of guys that will go hunt an area because somebody killed a big buck out of there, and whenever you see somebody else's results, whether it's in your spiritual life or in hunting, a lot of times that gives you that initial spark of faith. If you see some miraculous thing happen and you're like, wow, God really did that, that's not bad, but it takes faith that is acted upon for yourself. You have to make that faith your own, if that makes sense. And there's this one more verse I want to share with you in James 5:15, where it says, the prayer of the faith will save the one who is sick, and the Lord will raise him up. And that just struck me, because to think about the fact that you could pray for somebody and that God can heal that person because of your prayer, that just blows my mind. And I'm not saying that God heals every person every time that we pray for them, but I'm saying that God can, and a lot of times does, heal people because of our actions. And the other thing that I really am trying to exercise more is faith and worship. And so whether or not you go to church, we have this time where we worship God in different songs, and it's really easy sometimes, if you're having a really tough week, at least for me, if I'm having a really tough week, to not want to sing, to not be joyful. And I get really focused on the here and now, and it takes faith to see God as someone who's in control of everything. He's in control of the future, things that you can't see, and to be able to worship Him for who He is and for the victories that you know that He will give you. But that's what He wants us to do. In Exodus 17, the Israelites were in a battle. Moses was raising his hands over the battle. Whenever his hands were raised, the Israelites were winning. And then whenever he lowered his hands, the Israelites were losing. And it got to the point where I think Aaron and another guy were lifting his hands up so that he could hold his hands up for the entire day, and then the Israelites beat the Amalekites. But in my opinion, that's one of the best examples in the Bible of worship and the power of worship, and that when we worship, we're putting our focus on God, and we're saying, you are the one that is going to fight my battle. You're the one that has the ability to have victory over this area in my life. You're taking that focus shift off of yourself and you're putting it on God. He is the source of the victory, and that when we stop looking to Him, we're going to lose. Remember to have faith when you're praying to God, and have faith when you're worshiping God. We'll catch you guys next week.